Alright, we're looking at your favorite movies or CIA propaganda.
There's a version
Let's
of
see,
your
man, is this
favorite
true?
films and TV shows that you weren't
I don't know,
allowed
this
to
video looked
see.
interesting,
Scripts were
and I recommend
rewritten,
it.
scenes were cut, endings were changed, and characters were altered.
They had stamped top secret on the top
So
and
this
the
is the
bottom
dude that
and the
is
sides and
exposing
the
it?
margins
What?
of every single page. And
I have
said,
seen
guys,
clips of him, but I've never seen a full video.
this is
But
not
let's see.
top secret. This is a Hollywood movie. It's already on video. It's done.
I'm talking children's animations with rewritten
Wow,
endings,
wow.
comedy films you've never heard of with deleted scenes, superhero franchises.
I have seen a lot of sketchy stuff about them kids shows, man. A lot of stuff that they hit in there, like some sexual stuff, you know what I mean? That like kids should not be seeing.
built in secretive contracts, and a screenwriter who tried to tell the wrong story.
Some demonic stuff too, and some shows, bro. I don't know. Have y'all seen Gravity Falls, bro? That show is very good, but it has some crazy messages in there.
And was found dead with both hands missing.
Wow.
It's not an accident that every Hollywood movie about the CIA is pro-CIA.
This has been running
Damn.
since the 1940s. What started with Walt Disney producing
What's y'all's
propaganda
top 3 movies?
shorts for
Leave
the
in the
military
comments.
has now evolved into a formal permanent
I'll
operation.
go Inception #1. Inception is very good. And then I'll go Dark Knight Rises. #2, I don't know. That's probably an unpopular opinion. Dark Knight Rises. Everyone probably likes the second one with the Joker, but I like the third one. And then we'll put 7 as top 3.
One that now reaches
good
into the
movie.
biggest franchises on the planet.
Now this dude's
and
telling me
it
they're
hasn't
propaganda,
stopped
so let's see.
expanding from there. When John Kiriakou, a CI whistleblower who
Yeah,
went to
this
prison
guy,
for
John
exposing the
Kiriakou.
torture program, was asked on the Diary of a CEO how the agency would hypothetically design an influence campaign, this was his answer.
You would have to have a goal that would be
Now the
specific
question is this dude even really in the CIA or is he just an actor? Like I honestly I can't tell.
enough that you could actually track the progress.
Because do you think if there was someone actually out there that's like, oh, I'm exposed to CIA, I'm exposed to all this, like, you know what I mean? Wouldn't they just like silence him or like put him in jail or whatever, or just never let him blow up? Like,
To it. It has to be
That's how I
a
think about it,
message.
at least.
You've got to be able to get a specific, well-honed message out there. And the message can
be careful, man, because
anything.
half these people y'all see nowadays are pushed by companies and people with bigger agendas.
Could be, love the CIA, we're the good
That's a
guys.
free game, I'll
It
look.
could be support the overthrow of the Iranian government. It could be, any criticism of Benjamin Netanyahu is anti-Semitism. It could be anything you want it to be. You just have to make sure that it's repeated enough.
He mentions a couple of things there that are highly relevant
Damn,
right
that's
now.
facts. If you repeat a lie long enough, it'll become the truth.
Take Argo, an Oscar-winning film that almost everyone has heard of. The plot follows a CIA officer
What
who
is this movie? I
poses
never
as
heard
a
of it.
Hollywood producer to smuggle 6 American diplomats out of Iran, all during the 1979 hostage crisis. As you can imagine, the CIA is unambiguously the hero. There's barely a single mention of the CIA's overthrow of Iran's
I see what he's
democratically
talking
elected
about.
government, or the installing of a dictator who ruled with a secret police force trained by the
So
CIA.
he's saying that all of Hollywood, they just make CIA look like the hero, like, you know what I mean? Can't make it look bad.
And given the current conflict
I
in
see, I
Iran,
see.
you could reasonably argue that the public's understanding of who Iran is and how we got there was influenced in part by films exactly like this. During filming, Affleck
True.
visited CIA headquarters multiple times, sat in round tables in the director's conference room, and even emailed the agency promising to do the agency proud.
This is sus, bro. What on earth is
The
this?
CIA had actually been promoting the Argo
This dude
operation
got sent as a top secret mission from the CIA, and basically they told him, yeah, just make us look the best as we can. Do not make us look bad at all.
as a suggestion.
Basically, don't say what actually happened. Just, fabricate something, make it look good.
Suggested movie plot on their own website years
sus.
before the film was made, and even thanked Affleck publicly on Twitter for the film. Affleck said this when
Damn.
interviewed as part of the press tour.
Are there many actors
Y'all
in
watch this
Hollywood who
movie,
also
Argo?
moonlight as agents, do you think?
I think there are probably quite a few, yes. I think probably Hollywood is full of CIA agents, and we
You
just
can't
don't know
trust
it.
actors, man.
Argo's only the surface.
Wait, yo, this dude just said Hollywood is full of CIA
To
agents.
Affleck
Hold on.
publicly on Twitter for the film. Affleck said this when interviewed as part of the
Let me
press
hear that
tour.
again.
Are there many actors in Hollywood who also moonlight as agents, do you think?
I think there are probably quite a few, yes. I think
Wow.
probably Hollywood is full of CIA agents, and we
Wow. Wow, you
Just don't know it.
But Argo's only the
Wow.
surface, and
I don't know
you'll
if
be
he's
shocked
trolling or
about
not,
where
but-
exactly the strategy operates in
That's funny.
Hollywood, the films it touches, and how smart it
Like I
truly
was saying,
is.
though,
Take the
You can't trust no actors, bro, because they're probably just acting 24/7. You know what I mean?
original script for the Hulk.
Especially in documentaries. I see in some of these actors in, like, documentaries talking about, like, oh, the climate change, like, whatever. But they're
The
just
canon
acting during
storyline,
the
as
thing.
per the
Like,
comic,
you don't know
involved
if they're-
Bruce Banner
what
being
their intentions are.
transformed after a US military program gone
know what I
wrong.
mean?
It also included dialogue referencing Operation Branch Hand, a real program that sprayed roughly 20 million gallons of chemical herbicides, including Agent
Wow.
Orange over Southeast Asia, poisoning a possible 4 million people. Both details were removed
Wow.
purposefully by CIA advisors. This is according to leaked files seen by
Wow.
The Conversation. They then
They
changed the
removed it.
origin story to a lab experiment gone wrong instead because they
What?
couldn't risk anti-government sentiments in a franchise of this size. In the Transformers
Wow.
films,
I actually, the whole time I've been thinking that's how Hulk got his powers, is from, like, a experiment gone wrong. I don't know, it's like from this.
Pentagon liaison inserted
Damn.
specific dialogue instead of removing it. In one scene just after American troops had been attacked by a deception robot, he added the line "bring him home" to reinforce US military values. Numerous superhero films, including practically
That's
the
a-
entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is the single biggest franchise in history, were all built on this from the ground up. Captain Marvel was granted full Air Force support. The Air Force was advertised in the film on
Y'all
social
watch
media
Captain
before
Marvel?
Marvel had even started marketing it. Captain Marvel and Black Panther were both used directly in recruitment campaigns. The result was a documented spike in female applicants to the Air Force Academy. They initially called it the
Damn.
Captain Marvel effect. On Iron Man, which was massively supported by the Pentagon
crazy
with
how
$1
much
billion
effect,
worth
like,
of equipment,
one
there were
single
literally
movie has.
fights on set between the directors and the agency. A Pentagon liaison, Phil Straub,
Wow.
objected to a line in which a military character says, "People would kill themselves for the opportunities I have." The director John pushed back, and soon they were standing on the flight lines at Edwards Air Force Base with 200 crew watching. They eventually settled on they'd walk over hot coals, but even then that didn't make the final cut. But a much weirder example is Meet the Parents, when Ben Stiller's character walks into Robert De Niro's workplace. In the original script, he finds CIA torture manuals. That was rewritten.
What?
Now he finds photos of De Niro meeting Bill Clinton. IMDb credits Chase Brandon as a technical advisor and Milt Bearden as consultant CIA on the film, which you can see here. These examples just cover what
That's
we know
actually
for
crazy.
certain from a leak of 60,000 pages of documents, which confirms
Now,
the CIA has been
Do
involved in
y'all
more than
blame them though, or like what do y'all think? Like, should it be, yeah, like, free speech, whatever, you're supposed to say what actually happened or whatever, or should it be like, listen, this movie's coming out in America, you can't say anything bad about, like, the CIA or whatever, you know what I mean? Because you probably live there. So
2,500 productions in total.
there's actually a lot of countries other than America that, if you speak bad about them and they see it, like, you're getting kicked out. You know what I mean?
The Pentagon
just
runs
that simple.
something called the Entertainment Media
crazy how it
Office, a
works.
formal
Do y'all
liaison
agree with that?
operation that works directly with Hollywood studios. They support studios financially, offer advice on sensitive topics, and lend them specialist equipment and prime filming locations. In exchange for permissions, the CIA get to read and approve the script before a single frame is shot. They also have complete veto power, and directors are obliged to follow their word.
Wow.
One Pentagon minder said on record,
Disgusting.
"If they don't do what I say, I take my toys and go away." A declassified
What on
CIA
earth?
document released in 2019
Someone
all
gotta
but
check that,
confirms that, logging dozens of meetings
Got too
between the
much ego.
CIA's Office of Public Affairs and executives from NBC, Time Warner, Viacom, Fox, Paramount, and CAA. The document covers just 2 years from 2014 to 2016. It includes lunches, development deals on campus filming approvals, and meetings to develop CIA-themed TV shows. The
So
CIA
basically, every single movie made in 2014, 2016 was controlled by these people.
has
is what I'm
always
hearing from
claimed
this
it
dude
merely
right now.
answers requests on an as-needed basis. The document
Wow.
shows active outreach. The agency is
That's
going to
so-
the studios, not the other way around. But you have to stretch back
we can't
much
watch movies
further to
anymore?
find out when this all began. Because when one of George Orwell's most important works was adapted into a movie, the CIA had the final say over its closing moments. That film is Animal
Really?
Farm,
Oh!
a classic anti-establishment story about
Wow,
rebelling
I was
against
talking
power.
about this
After Orwell
movie
died,
like the last video. That's crazy.
the
Or
film's
this book,
rights
I
to
mean.
Animal Farm were purchased by 2 men, and both were undercover CIA agents. This was in 1954.
Honestly, listen, I know school made us read a lot of books, but this is like the best one, probably. This is the only one that I remember.
The height of the Cold
I
War.
don't
and the
remember
Red
any other
Scare.
ones. They were all useless. Romeo and Juliet, mice and men, whatever, all that stuff. But this one, bro, you can't
When the fear
forget
of
this
communism was at its peak,
This was actually a good
the
idea.
CIA funded the entire animation. They hired British animators, deliberately avoiding
Wow.
American studios to create distance, and because the agency distrusted Hollywood animators during the Red Scare.
So this whole book is about the truth and free speech or whatever, and then in real life they didn't even follow that when they reanimated it.
And they rewrote the ending. In Orwell's book, the animals look through the
Wow.
farmhouse window and can't tell the pigs from the humans.
Yeah. See, I remember that. They can't because the lie was told too many times.
The line says, quote, "The creatures outside looked from pig to man, and from pig to man, and from pig to man again. But
It was impossible to say which was which. Yeah.
already it was impossible to say which was which."
Nah, this book
This
was
is the
peak,
whole
bro. I don't
point.
care what anyone
Revolution replaces one set of oppressors with another.
Yeah.
Capitalism and communism are equally corrupt. The CIA couldn't
Wait,
have
that's
that
not what I
message
remember.
going out, so their version ends with the animals triumphantly overthrowing the pigs in a second revolution. Communism bad, rebellion good, America wins by implication. See,
Wait,
watch how
what?
they storm the building
isn't
and
what
how
happened
it
in the
doesn't
book.
imply the same message as the book at all. It's subtle, but the new
Wow,
version
really?
reinforces the division between good and bad. It creates a moral precedent that corrupt systems can be overthrown and replaced with something better, which is a really comforting thought, unless you realize it's exactly the story the CIA tells every time it topples a government. Orwell's
Damn.
ending says the opposite, that power corrupts regardless of who holds it, and that revolution just replaces one set of oppressors with another. The
Damn.
director Joy Batchelor strongly opposed the change, so the CIA threatened to
Wow.
pull financing. The intelligence officer E. Howard Hunt, who later became involved in the Watergate scandal, said the film was, quote, "carefully tweaked to heighten the anti-communist message." Although it was originally aimed at adults,
What do y'all
Animal
do in that
Farm
position?
found its primary audience in school over
If
the
you
US
have a
and
movie taught like about this stuff, and then they come to you and they say, "Listen, we're gonna just take all our money if you don't do what you're told." Y'all continuing?
Europe. By then, the state and media were already
I don't
deeply
know.
intertwined.
I probably
Governments
wouldn't, to
had
be honest.
correctly identified that the media was the
You gotta
best way
stand on
to
something,
access
you
the
know what I mean?
minds of the public. Generations of children were shown a CIA-funded film
Or maybe
with a
finish it
CIA
just to make the
rewritten
movie,
ending,
if it's like a
as
first
if
one,
this
and
was a
then
faithful adaptation of Orwell.
expose
So
all
you
the
may not be
interviews and-
surprised to learn that Disney was the
they
testing
probably
ground
got
for
you
how
on the NDAs,
effective
though.
propaganda could be. While it might be hard to believe today, Disney was actually going broke, and the government offered it a deal. They accepted, and within 2 years, over 90% of Disney's output, mostly propaganda, was government content. Disney characters found their way into all sorts of government materials, including 1,200 military insignia. Walt Disney even personally
this is what we
designed
grew
this
up on, by the way.
terrifying Mickey Mouse gas mask, all
What
to
the
make
hell is
children less
that?
afraid during air raids. If you look at Disney
What?
films through the ages, like Snow White, The Incredibles, and Frozen, they're often said to carry some level of deliberate messaging. In a conversation between Theo Von and Robert Greene, the guy who wrote the 48 Laws of Power, Greene said they offer a singular worldview that runs through most Western mainstream media. While modern society came to describe this phenomena as woke, the more important aspect is the consent it manufactures.
And what angered me about Hollywood, people pretending to be these liberal, wonderful people in favor of all the best causes out there to create art. What bullshit. They wanted power. They loved having the power over people. They would
Damn.
drop the woke stuff tomorrow if they could make more money doing something else. It's just
That's
about
facts.
what's
That's
going to
facts.
bring the bucks in.
Someone upstream decides what the acceptable worldview is, and the media is passed accordingly. The Pentagon did it with military values. The CIA did it with anti-communism. Hollywood does it now with whatever sells. The product always looks like entertainment and not ideology. These are films watched by billions, not just in the West, but worldwide. So this is also a matter of the image the world superpowers want to project. Soft power has always mattered enormously to the West. Huge military, invincible superheroes, perfect moral values, intelligence agencies that can do anything they please and always win. Now, you might be wondering what happens if someone breaks ranks and goes against the grain. Whether it's possible to subvert the CIA and inform the public of the truth.
They got off,
There has
bro.
been at least one
Spoiler
occasion
alert.
when someone tried to do exactly
Oh
that.
wow, Gary DeVore. And he went missing too. Missing. Oh my god. Damn. RV. Broken, deformed, right?
He was
Thank
Gary
you.
DeVore, a Hollywood screenwriter with
Hold on,
major
hold on. I
credits on
never heard of this.
Schwarzenegger's
Hold
Raw Deal, Christopher Walken's The Dog of War, and Backroads with Tommy Lee Jones and Sally Field. He was deep into a script idea that even his own wife didn't fully understand until after he was gone.
When I first moved in with Gary, he said to me, "Don't be alarmed if you get a call from a person from a government agency. Just take their name down and their number and don't be worried about it." In the first 4 years, there were 2 calls. And then, not too long before he actually disappeared, there were several from the CIA at Langley.
It was called The Big
Wow.
Steal, set during the US invasion
What
of
the
Panama.
hell?
A friend of his, Hollywood director John Irvin,
This
had
poor
lunch
guy,
with Gary
bro.
a few weeks before he disappeared. He could tell that something was off.
He was troubled. Something was bothering him. He wasn't really in the conversation. He was having trouble with the script he was writing, which he talked more about not the script, but about...
What's crazy is they're gonna draw this up to like, oh, he was addicted to drugs and he was like suicidal. You know what I mean? That's probably what they're gonna end up going with. Like what they're gonna tell you.
Truth. He was speaking more as a journalist than he was as a screenwriter. He was talking as an investigator.
A researcher who later investigated
What
the
movie
case
was he
called
working
Dr.
on, though?
Matthew
They had to, like,
Alford eventually uncovered
do
what
that
Gary
stuff,
had found,
so.
and it's really dark.
The dictator of Panama, Manuel Noriega, made secret recordings in wired rooms of senior US officials having sex with underage prostitutes. Male and female.
What?
One British newspaper commented on this.
No
The story
way.
was then buried. And the guy who wrote it
Damn,
got
this like
shot
the stuff
by
that's
an
going on
anonymous
nowadays with the
sniper.
Epstein.
Gary planned to put that in a Hollywood film. He was driving home through the desert, and then that was the
Wow.
last anyone heard from him.
And he said, "I'll see you later."
Bro.
I never heard from him again.
It's like Gary DeVore simply vanished into
R.I.P.
thin air.
bro.
There was a massive search, foot patrols, helicopters, $100,000 reward, but 0 leads and
Thing
no
is,
witnesses.
there's so many
He was
stories like
missing
this, and eventually, a week or 2 later, like everyone just forgets about it. You know what I mean? And
for
then life goes on.
374 days. But then
It's
his
all
Ford
suicide.
Explorer was found beneath 15 feet of muddy water at the bottom of the California aqueduct. Despite the aqueduct having been searched extensively, his laptop containing the script was missing, his gun was missing,
Bro.
and his hands were missing.
Bro!
Where his hands...
How were they not charged for this, bro? What, bro? This dude was tortured.
Cut off.
Listen, the
Oh
man
my
had his
God.
fingers removed. Why?
What the fuck?
Why?
In my own mind, feel that there is crime
Sick
here.
fucks, bro.
I do not feel that my husband drove off of this bridge.
Within a week of his
Bro, he
disappearance,
100% didn't drive
agents
off.
from
He
the
got his
FBI,
fucking tortured, his hands cut off.
CIA, NSA,
Damn.
and DOD arrived at the family home.
How were these all not arrested right now? Every single one of them.
After an official went into
This
his
is like an
office,
obvious
his
case.
computer was wiped. And here's an unlikely
Damn,
connection
bro.
to meet the parents in other films years later. It was Chase Brandon, the CIA's entertainment industry liaison officer, who was among those at the scene. When Alfred started digging into the case years later,
What the
he received a warning to stop what he was doing and leave while alone.
You know, of course,
Wow.
you received an informal or semi-formal warning
Hell no, bro.
from
Hell
a
no.
CIA and DOD contractor.
Listen, that's why I respect YouTube and like sites like this, because look at this dude. He with damn near 2 million subscribers 2 months ago posted this, spreading all this like info. You know what I mean? You couldn't do this back then. The only way you could get expose something like this or get this message across is through a movie, and then we just saw what they did to this dude. They didn't like his movie. They just shut it down. You can't do that on YouTube. You know what I mean? This is free speech. Like, you can say whatever you want.
Who said to you,
Now there
"Back
are
off the
some people
CIA,
nowadays
you're going
that
too-
they
you're
still
going
get
too
taken
far with
down, you
this
know.
now."
But there's just a million websites that you can just go to that you can get your message across at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
These people can and will ruin your life and come knocking on mine and your
Wow.
doors.
A former White House official from the Reagan and George Bush administrations confirmed that DeVore harbored a deep-rooted relationship with the agency and considered the case as the hallmarks of a cover-up. The CIA declined to comment on the entire situation, and the case officially remains
they're just gonna
open.
get away with it
So
too.
that's the other side of the coin.
What they gotta do, honestly, is the wife gotta. Oh man, but you can't even do that. They'll probably go for like her family too. Like, yeah, it's close. I was gonna say the wife could take all the names of the officers that kept calling her and then just air them out. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, you can't
potentially
even do
happens
that.
when the CIA's veto isn't obeyed. We don't really know the truth of what happened, but it does show you that you shouldn't mess around with topics not sanctioned
gotta be
by the
younger
agency.
than 5 years old
As
to
for
not
the
be able to
impacts
tell
this
what
all
happened.
has
Come
on
on, now.
society, Theo and Joe Rogan were very perceptive about how it can change public perception.
So in World War I, one of the problems that they had was people didn't want to be over there killing people.
Yeah.
And so people were shooting, but they weren't shooting at the actual enemy. And so then they realized, well, we've got to do something about that. And so after that, they started creating all these really patriotic war movies where the guys are heroes, they go over and they shoot all the bad guys, and then they're awesome. So then the next group of people that go to war are all going to be indoctrinated with these films.
John Kiriakou thinks that nowhere has that indoctrination been more effective or more dangerous than in warming the population up to the idea of torture.
One thing that bothers me the most is when Hollywood perpetuates the myth that torture prevented acts of terrorism or disrupted acts of terrorism. And to me, that myth is dangerous in that it affects public opinion. You can put whatever euphemism you want on it. You can call it enhanced interrogation technique. I don't care what you call it. What we did to some of those people was just illegal.
Kiriakou would know. He's the only CIA officer who ever went to prison over the torture program.
I actually heard the worst type of torture is that opening, like forcing someone's eyes open and like they can't sleep. And apparently they used to do that. And apparently that's like the worst type of torture.
Objected to the CIA's use of so-called enhanced interrogation techniques, which I believe to be torture. And I went public with that information in December of 2007. All this time,
this dude is an
I'm
actor,
waiting
bro,
for
that's
somebody to
gotta
come
be an
out
actor.
and say something. And nobody said anything. As a result, I was prosecuted and served 30 months in prison. But
30 months,
I'm glad I did.
12, 24.
Somebody had to do it.
2 years.
This is especially true in the
and a
film
half.
Zero Dark 30, which is about capturing Osama bin Laden.
Yeah,
John
if
Kiriakou thinks
this
it's the
dude was really a
strongest
threat,
example
bro, they would have done him like the movie producer.
of making the CIA look clean from every angle.
Zero Dark 30. So Zero Dark 30, I think, is the most egregious example.
But look,
of
that's what
CIA.
I said. Respect to all these sites that let people speak their opinion, because let's say this dude is like actually not whatever, an actor or whatever, like, you know, he's exposing all this.
Interference in Hollywood.
I don't know much. I don't
The
watch
CIA gave the
you know what I mean? But I'm
filmmakers
just saying.
classified briefings over a classified mock-up of the bin Laden compound.
We
The
don't
film
know his
essentially
intentions.
pushed at the torture program as what led them to bin Laden. Kiriakou says that's a complete lie.
This was a film that the CIA made a policy decision on that it was going to cooperate fully, to the point where senior CIA officers gave them inappropriately classified briefings over a classified mock-up of the bin Laden compound. Okay, that's chargeable under the Espionage Act. The CIA just turned it over. Why? Because it made the CIA look good.
In
But
real
let me
life,
tell you
intelligence
something. The
workers
CIA is making the laws, you know, so it's like if they break the law, who's gonna stop them? They're the ones that stop whoever breaks the law, you know, so they can just break it, they can do whatever they want, like, no one's gonna stop them.
is edgy,
You know what I
gruesome,
mean?
and morally ambiguous. Mainstream TV and cinema don't need to be accurate. They just need to feel right and not leave the audience with too many lingering questions or ambiguity. They pick up on this exact point in the podcast.
Even though they are torturing people. Now, entire population is so kind of almost like brainwashed into, but they are good guys, so torture is okay,
Right.
as long as good guys are
Well,
doing
that was
it.
the narrative.
And they've got so desensitized towards doing bad
Well, there is
shit.
no good guys and
if-
bad guys, because the person that's getting tortured is gonna look at you as the bad guy, and then the person doing the torturing is gonna look at the other guy as the bad guy, like, you know what I mean?
If it's the CIA or
It's
if
all
it's
about
Tom
perception.
Cruise or if it's like Mission Impossible and they're doing bad shit and they're torturing people, that's okay. Like now the message is that's okay, you don't worry about it.
So desensitization
Do y'all
and
think it's
controlling the
okay?
narrative is central to this whole strategy.
If you're
But
torturing
there
like
are
a straight
deeper
up
layers.
terrorist, like, you know, a terrorist that's like, he plans to like bomb a city like tomorrow, like, you know what I mean? The only way to stop him is to torture him. Is that morally right or wrong?
Than promoting and suppressing films. The CIA's
I'm not
venture
gonna lie, I say that's morally right, you know what I mean? Because if you stop him, you save like the lives of hundreds of thousands, you know, and you don't even have to kill him, you just gotta extract information.
capital arm in Q-tel, literally named after Q from James Bond, has been funding tech companies since 1999. Google bought an In-Q-Tel-funded mapping startup called Keyhole that became Google Earth. In-Q-Tel and Google then jointly invested in a company that builds predictive analytics by mining web data. Palantir was one of their earliest investments. The CIA had established an entire directorate of digital innovation specifically to engage Silicon Valley. So it's all linked together and practically operates in plain sight. Theo Von told Green a story about bumping into a construction worker at Century City Mall in LA.
Yo, what's up?
Wow.
So I start talking to him, and he's like, dude, guess what we're building? I'm like, I don't know. I thought maybe it could have been like a Hardee's or something. He's like, we're building like a 20-story building, and 10 floors of it are the CIA, and the other 10 floors are a management company, Hollywood Management.
Theo was mixing up the CIA and CAA, Creative Artists Agency, Hollywood's most powerful talent firm, but Green made it sound like the real thing was even worse.
Wow.
And you go to that building, and they call it like the Death Star. There are like, politicians who are being represented by CAA, athletes, tech bros, influencers. It's pretty frightening though when you go inside. It's almost like Scientology, Hollywood's version of Scientology.
He's describing high-level ongoing talks at the intersection of the media, government, and big tech, all in a building lovingly called the Death Star. So you can now see how this whole influence campaign is far bigger than cutting lines in Marvel movies. It relies on cross-collaboration between multiple arms of state and...
That's also why I'll never trust documentaries, you know what I mean? Because it's just, when you hear the word documentary, that means the difference between a documentary and a movie is that a documentary shows you the real life events, you know what I mean? But nowadays, that's not even what they do. They just show you whatever they want to show you, you know what I mean? Which could not be the truth.
Private power, and the product hasn't stopped at the cinema. It's been actively following the audience, which means you, wherever you go, including online.
Do you think the CIA have a strategy for podcasters and for podcasting?
I think yes, now they do. It took them a little while to get current, but just like they over time developed a strategy with Hollywood,
so
sure, they're developing a strategy.
Is he the strategy?
This strategy is consolidating as we speak, which will only make it easier for agencies like the CIA to wield greater control over the narratives.
Yeah.
Larry Ellis
have these people that you'll see nowadays, these influencers, man. Yeah, they got companies behind them, bro.
Company Oracle, now hosts TikTok US algorithm and controls its content moderation, just bought Paramount through his son David. And if their bid for Warner Bros. And Discovery goes through, you can add CNN, HBO, Warner Brothers, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, MTV, Comedy Central, Discovery, TLC, TBS, and TNT to that list. An internal memo obtained by NPR confirmed the Ellison-led entity will control what's allowed and what's not on the platform. Bernie Sanders called it oligarchy. And Oracle, which sits underneath all of this, has held government contracts with the CIA and the Department of Defense for decades. Whatever you call it, the media pipeline is now shorter than it's ever been. And in fewer hands. There's a through line from Donald Duck selling war bonds to Captain Marvel. Selling Air Force recruitment to Google Earth, tracking your location has never been broken.
You know what's crazy? Pokemon Go pulled something like this where they tricked everyone into taking pictures of like everywhere, and then they sold all those to an AI company that now they have like every street as an AI, like knows it where everyone is, you know what I mean?
Methods have evolved: direct propaganda, covert funding, script consultations, structural incentives, venture capital, and digital surveillance. But the principle itself hasn't changed. Get the message right, make sure it's repeated enough, and eventually nobody questions this anymore.
Damn.
And if you've seen what happens when someone steps outside that system, a screenwriter at the bottom of a canal with no hands, a researcher warned to back off before they ruin his life, maybe then you understand why so few people ever try. It's not a theory about Hollywood, but a description of what 60,000 pages of declassified documents confirm has already happened, and is still happening, to the stories you grew up on. The truth is, we simply don't know how deep this rabbit hole really goes, how much of the information-rich world around us is real, and how much is fake or manipulated just enough to maintain a thin veneer of authenticity. Like we saw in this recent video we did on the CIA compromising podcast,
we gotta watch more of those
goes deep. In any case, the strategies employed by the CIA and the government to influence the media are not theoretical, and they don't spend millions on them for no reason. So ask yourself, when you're next watching your favorite films and TV shows, can you really take them at value.
Bro,
If you
I might
think-
not watch
you
a
can,
movie for
ask
like the next
yourself
few
for
years.
how much
after this
longer
video.
do you think this will be the case?
Alright, good video. Listen, no more movies, alright? Boycott the movies, alright?